only one that has a program, and I would not loan it to nobody. This is part one over. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of our committee members. Tony's been with us several years now, working the programs, and been a very valuable help to our committee. And Tony is going to start the second half of the part of the program. He will introduce his family and
Thank you very much, Joe. I may look old, but I'm not old enough to realize that you never follow a tip of gold in a public speaking event. So I'm going to make my my remarks very short. First of all, on behalf of the Brissett family, we thank you all for coming here, helping us remember Norman Brissett, who grew up right over here, right down the street. Probably threw a rock from here to his house. That's how close. But it's important to know that all of these old men in funny-looking hats were actually 19 years old when they served in the service. Norman was just 19 years old when he died. And much of what we now know about Norman Brissett's demise, we would not know if it weren't for Mr. Mori. Thank you so much, Mr. Mori. There's just one other person that I would like to introduce while we're here. We have Mr. Ralph Neal. Ralph Neal is the nephew of another one of the service members who was killed in Hiroshima. Ralph, thank you very much for coming all the way up here to Massachusetts. And with that said, I'm gonna leave you with where's Barry? I'm going to introduce Barry Frechette.
your wife and family.
Oh, okay. All right, does the Brissett family? She doesn't want to come up. Okay. Gary? Okay. Well, anyway, this is my wife, Sue Brissett, and she's made the trip all the way to Japan to meet the Moris, and now they've come to visit her. So thank you all today. I'm going to introduce Peter. Okay, this is Mr. Peter Grilli from the Japan American Society, and he'll tell you a little bit more about what we're doing in part two.
Well, Joe here has not shared his program with me or anyone else, so I got to tell you, I'm winging
Because
it.
nobody told me you were coming. It's a possibility and a possibility to know.
See how great communication is these days? Anyway, before I speak, I'd just like to say one word about Connie, whom we all miss. You knew her all much better than I did. I met her only once here 3 years ago, and it's very sad that she can't be with us today. So I'm sure we'll all be remembering Connie Brissett in our prayers. I'm here because I had the tremendous good fortune of being able to help Barry Brissett in making a film called Paper Lanterns, which I hope, if you haven't seen, I hope every one of you has a chance to see very, very soon. It tells the story of why we're here today, honoring Mr. Mori and the memory of Norman Brissett and the other 11 American POWs who died in Hiroshima in the aftermath of our bomb, our atomic bomb. It was a tremendous tragedy. It's a world tragedy. And it's Mr. Mori who transcended that tragedy, transcended the enmity of war that had been fought so terribly between Japan and the United States, to realize that all victims of a war like that are equal. And he reached across the enmity, across the battle lines, to honor the memory of the Americans, the so-called enemies who were killed in Hiroshima. That story is an extraordinary story. It was honored by President Obama when Obama went to Hiroshima and embraced Mr. Mori and thanked him. It's a story that we should all keep in our hearts because it's a story of a kind of love and humanity that unites us all. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here today, simply to honor that story, to honor the memory of all the veterans from this area, and especially to honor Mr. Mori and the friendship he brings to us. So thank you all very much.